and congratulations to Ocean Forum. This is 12th year. It is over a decade. So it's my pleasure once again to be here. In 1964, Zanzibar Islands and Tanzania mainland united to form the United Republic of Tanzania. This is a country with around 55 million people and over 945,000 square kilometers. It's almost 8.5 times the size of Korea. As you can see, Tanzania is surrounded by a number of countries. Kenya, Uganda, Democratic Republic of Congo, Zambia, Mozambique, and Malawi are our neighbors. We have more than 7 landlocked countries connected with Tanzania. So when we look at the general overview of the resources, Tanzania, we have, I've mentioned the size of Tanzania, but we are also having a lot of, or numerous water resources. I will come back to that later. We have forestry, which has over 35.5 million hectares. We have mineral resources like gold, diamond, tanzanite, copper, iron, etc. And we also have oil and gas, which covers almost 41.7 trillion cubic feet. Our main, based on the resources we have, our main export includes coffee, cotton, the minerals I've mentioned, like diamond, gold, and tanzanite. As mentioned earlier, this is only found in Tanzania. But we also import machineries, equipments, industrial raw materials, and consumer goods. With regards to the tourism, Tanzania is one of the countries with diverse species of flora and fauna, and therefore Tanzania is regarded as one of the countries with natural heritage and classified as a mega diversity city, together with Congo, Brazil, and Indonesia. Tanzania also is a home to 7 World Heritage Sites, including Mount Kilimanjaro, which is the highest mountain in Africa. We have Ngorongoro, whereby animals or wild animals and people sharing the ecosystem. We have other places, the Zanzibar Islands, the ruins of Kilwa and Songomnara, etc., etc. So we call it Unforgettable Tanzania due to the attractions that you can find in Tanzania. We say it is 360 degrees because if you want to enjoy the beach, you'll find it there. If you want to enjoy mountain hiking, it's there. If you want to go to animal migration, you'll find it there, and the beautiful Zanzibar. I'm sharing all these resources and opportunities so that when we are discussing about the ODAs and the EDCF, we have to take into consideration what the country possesses. When we go to maritime resources, this is the map of Tanzania. You can see the long coastline, which is around 1,400 kilometers. You can see the inland water resources like Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika, and Lake Nyasa. These are the details. Tanzania is well endowed with significant fishery resources for marine, freshwater, riverine, and wetland species. And this inland water surface covers around 62,000 square kilometers. And on the marine side, the country has over 64,500 square kilometers. and that long coastline, which is around 1,400 kilometers. And also we have the exclusive economic zone, which covers around 223 square kilometers. This provides additional area and resources. When we narrow down to fishery resources, Tanzania is one of the greatest fisheries nations, taking into consideration that it is among the 10 ranking countries in terms of fish capture. And also, the total fish capture is quite low when you look at it. That means there is a potential to bring that up if we play our cards smart. When you look at the contribution of the fishery sector in GDP, it is 2.2. But in terms of forex, in terms of foreign exchange, this fisheries sector brings about 10%, which means it's ranking third after the tourism and mining. How are we bringing in the issue of blue economy in Tanzania? Tanzania, we have this baseline. Tanzania has numerous water resources, as I mentioned. But when you look at these water resources, the fishery and everything, it is depleting with time. Now this is an alarming bell, and we have to take it very seriously. And from that, it gives us a point that in order for Tanzania to move forward, we need to tag the economic growth with sustainable development. This is very, very important in whatever we are doing. And as I mentioned before, these marine resources, these resources we have, they are depleting with time. And that being the fact, then we have to understand that if we are not taking the action today, then we are doomed to fail. And another point which is very important is that when you look at the issue of blue economy, it's cutting across sectors. And therefore, we need to have specific sector strategies and a way of bringing the coordination of all these initiatives together. The government is bringing in a lot of initiatives so as to address inefficiencies in the use of marine resources and also to enhance the frontiers of the marine economy. We have a number of, in the legal framework, we have a number of policies, acts, and as well as strategies. For example, I've mentioned a number of them here, including the National Fishery Policy, Fisheries Act of 2003, Marine Tax, and the Deep Sea Authority Act. This is one of the initiatives of the government to make sure that we address the inefficiencies in this area, as well as enhancing the frontiers so that we can explore the available opportunities. But as mentioned before, that we are doing all this to make sure that we are promoting investment in the sector, as well as strengthening the necessary infrastructures and making sure that we promote the exploration of these resources sustainably. Other initiatives include the fact that Tanzania is a member of international and regional bodies. For example, the United Nations Convention Law of the Sea, Southwest Indian Ocean Commission, Lake Victoria, IOC, etc., etc. This is to make sure that we have management of these resources as well as protecting other species, for example, the tuna and other type of fish that they are depleting with time. But at the same time, the government is reviewing some of these policies. I mentioned a number of acts, policies, and strategies. Some of them were done before the idea of blue economy came into existence. And therefore, the government has continuously been reviewing these acts and policies to make sure that we embrace it and also we provide a platform that other players can benefit from them. Tanzania has a lot, I mentioned that Tanzania has a lot of opportunities, has a lot of resources. And from these resources, we have a lot of opportunities. For example, with all those, with the long the long coastline of 1,400 kilometers, and with all those inland water resources, over 62,000 square kilometers, we have not been able to explore that much, and therefore it provides a lot of opportunities in these areas. These opportunities are not only for private sector. It has been mentioned by my brother from Exim Bank that we need to find a way to bring in the private sector. This is very important because once we bring in the private sector, then the business phenomenon is going to be there. But also in the way of our engagement, the way we engage, we have to expand beyond the issue of capital. We need the capacity building, we need to improve the infrastructures to make sure that we explore these opportunities. So we need to move from traditional way of doing things and traditional facilities into having the modern facilities like fishing boats, equipment, and gear. So there are opportunities in one way to invest in boat building and maybe the factories for the fishing gears, but as well, we also need capacity building in those areas. Another area is the deep sea fishing. I mentioned that Tanzania has over 223,000 square kilometers in the exclusive economic zone. This has not been much explored, and therefore there is a big opportunity in that area. I remember yesterday when we had the official opening, the keynote speaker mentioned about the Internet of Things, and he was linking the data issue in this area. It is very important that we capture the required data for us to make the decision that will help us to move forward. And it is true that in this area, in deep sea fishing, if it's not well developed, if we don't have a fishing port, there is no way we can have the actual data, and therefore we cannot make the decisions that will help us to move forward. We have also the area of fish farming, whereas prawns, shrimps, mud crab, seaweeds can be also explored. Also the area of fish processing. For the time being, these are the methods using, including smoking, sun drying, salted sand, frying, and then for export, chilled fillets, frozen fillets, etc. These are the methods used. So there is a big opportunity in the processing of these products. We have also opportunities in aqua sports and ecotourism. As I've said, the resources are enormous, but then we have not been able to explore to the extent that the society can benefit. Most of these resources, they are surrounded by poor communities, and the poverty comes in because they are not benefiting much from it, or they are using the traditional ways of exploring these resources. So we need to find a way of coming in, investing more, and building the capacities of these people. It's not only for them, but it's even for us. Because if we are able to make these communities do better, it means we can expand the business horizon. We have also a big opportunity in construction of fishing port. I mentioned this. And in deep sea fishing, in Tanzania, for the time being, we don't have a fishing port. And this is quite crucial because if you want to dock, you have to either use the nearby country or you need to use the sophisticated equipment or fishing boats that they have each and everything. So for the government, we lose a lot of revenue in this area, but also for other practitioners or for other stakeholders in the sector, there's no way you can capture that data, and there's no way you can make informed decisions because you don't have all the important information that you might need. There are a lot of opportunities in this area, but as we all know, in the blue economy, it brings in other sectors that are quite crucial. We need the infrastructure to be developed, we need power generation, we need fishing, we need offshore activities. In Tanzania we have gas, and we are in the process of exploring this particular resource. But there are so many opportunities in the oil and gas supply chain. And we have also special economic zones. A good example is Bagamoyo Special Economic Zone. And when you look at it, this is how we are supposed to go. This is the best way forward to bring in other sectors in the economy. Because as you can see, all these sectors here are interconnected. So why Tanzania? Why do we think Tanzania could be the best partner in that area? Tanzania is among the fastest growing economies. We are number 5 with 7.2 economic growth. And when you look at the macro economic variables, Tanzania has been having a decreasing interest rate and decreasing, of course, inflation. For the time being, it's around 5.2%. When you look at the FDI inflows, among the East African countries, Tanzania has been leading in all those years. And when you consider other factors, Tanzania is politically stable. We are having multipartism, and we have been changing the governments without any problems. Tanzania is rich in resources, arable land, natural gas, the destinations for tourism, etc. And Tanzania also has investment guarantees. We are signatories of all the listed, like multilateral investment guarantee agency, etc. So when you invest in Tanzania, you are sure that your investment or your contribution is guaranteed. But also Tanzania is strategically located. We have 70 landlocked countries. We have 3 major ports. We have the longest coastline, and above all, we have a big access to market. This is when you consider East African community. We have around 162 million people. In SADC, over 450 million people. In AGOA, in US, we can supply over 6,000 items. This gives us a big advantage compared to most of the countries. We have some incentives attached to that, both fiscal and non-fiscal. When you invest in Tanzania, or when this investment in different sectors is, you'll be able to be given a piece of land. You are allowed to bring in your experts. You are guaranteed, and you are allowed also to export the profits or the dividends that you want to do. And other incentives are related with investment in those areas like special economic zones and geographically disadvantaged areas. So, in my conclusion, the appropriate use of conservation of marine, inland, and other coastal resources can contribute largely to the food security, job creation, and inclusive and sustainable economic growth, as well as climate change mitigation. While issues such as climate change, biodiversity, capacity building issues, infrastructure, etc., they are still there as challenges, our partnership should reflect the needs and long-term sustainability of that. And we have a lot of development partners, we have financiers, and I think it is high time, if they are taking all those into consideration, this will help us to move forward sustainably. The challenge remains how all these efforts can be coordinated and the resources managed to give the expected outcome. Our leaders have shown a strong political will. As you can see, our President, Dr. John Pombe Magufuli, with Honorable Prime Minister Lee Nakion, when he visited Tanzania this July. And here is the second business forum between Tanzania and Korea. This is showing us that the future is bright. What we need to do is to make sure that these issues are taken into consideration. Once again, welcome to Tanzania, the land of Kilimanjaro, Zanzibar, and Serengeti. Thank you.